So whenever a customer contacts us, communicates with us, writes to us, we're able to instantly analyse the way that documentation has been written. We can analyse the sentiment of a customer, but to a point that nobody's ever really been able to done before.
Good morning, good afternoon, welcome back. Or if it's the first time you've found us, well, I'm delighted to have you along. Matthew Grant here, CEO of Instack. Now, one of the key success criteria for any technology company is how it interacts with its customers. And we all know there are plenty of opportunities to provide a better experience for customers when it comes to handling claims. So it's been tremendous to follow CCG on its journey building tech since I spoke to founder Jeremy Hyams a couple of years ago. Since then, CCG has launched Synergy Cloud, and this week we're going to be finding out what is really going on at the sharp end from two people that are using the product every day. And above all, it's a reminder that passion is so important in any business, particularly in technology, and often drives successful use of the technology. So really delighted to catch up with Sarah and Wayne to find out what they're up to. Sarah, Wayne, really looking forward to this. This is our third discussion with Synergy. Each time I learn more and more, and I know I'm going to learn a lot from you. So welcome. It's Friday lunchtime. I hope you both had your lunch and are feeling ready to go.
Not quite, but I'm ready to go.
We are, yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about Synergy for those that don't know you. So the way I think about you is you are what I call a child of COVID. You're a development by the Claims Consortium Group, which has been providing claims management for many years, founded by Jeremy Hyams. Jeremy spoke to us back in 2021, and then we learned more about how you're actually building the Synergy platform with Tom Burrows in May last year. But today, Sarah Woolliscroft, Group Head of Operations and TPA, and Wayne Calderbank, Group Data and Performance Director, talking to both of you. I'm going to get very much a kind of hands-on experience of how this is being used by CCG generally, and the two of you. So Synergy's got its roots with CCG itself. And what I really like about this is, as a company, you were doing this yourselves, thought you could do it a better way, built a product for internal use, now selling it externally, and the group is now one of your clients. Anything critical I've missed in there before we jump on?
No, I think that covers it nicely.
Brilliant. So if we think about what you're doing with Synergy, if you can summarize the key reason why one of your clients would license Synergy, what problem are you solving for them with this?
So the problem we want to solve is, how does the insurance industry provide brilliant, excellent service to customers, and how do we understand what the experience of a customer is from the start to the end of a claims journey?
Can you just build on that a little bit? And it'd be good just to understand what a typical day looks like for one of your team as they're using Synergy.
So within the claims teams that I manage, a typical day is set out using task management. It's heavily focused upon that. So what this means is it means that we're able to truly provide end-to-end claims handling, but essentially it allows the handlers to be able to focus on interacting with that customer, because the system will navigate you through that claim. So you know what needs to happen now, what needs to happen tomorrow, what needs to happen next. And it ensures we've got consistency of claims handling. We're treating all of our customers fairly, and we have that structure for claims when handling them end to end.
So, I mean, an example of that would be presumably if one person's handling the claim and then they're on holiday or something, someone else picks it up. There's a kind of seamless transition from one person to the other. The customer feels like the organisation knows what's happening with them.
Exactly that. It just ensures that nothing slips through the gaps, because we live in the real world. People take annual leave. There's instances where the handlers may not be available, but that customer's claim shouldn't stop. We should be continuing to offer that support. And Synergy Cloud allows us to do that because we have all of those trigger points built into the system. So we know what's coming next, and we know exactly where a claim is up to because our task reports and our data drives that.
And then, Wayne, this concept of enthusiasm seems to keep coming through. No surprise for those who've met Jeremy across the whole of CCG. But from your point of view, what is it about Synergy and what you're doing that makes you so enthusiastic about it?
The main thing I want to talk about is really the culture and the sort of relentless shared goals a business has got. So we are a group of, we handle claims, we handle contractors, and we build IT and we create data suites and so on. In this organisation, it literally has a group of people all with the same pointed, same goal, same relentless attitude in terms of what we're trying to deliver. And that makes things really easy. It cuts out a lot of the politics, it cuts out a lot of the problems in terms of doing that. And we all come in each day, we know what we need to do. And it is a cliche, but we do work with the concept of no idea is a bad idea. We try things, we fail fast, we move on, we keep going, we keep going. And it's really easy to be successful in an organisation like this.
And I guess in terms of in your title, you got the word data, group data and performance director. I suspect part of what you're doing then is you've got a kind of enthusiastic people, you've got clear goals. How are you actually measuring those? What are you doing to sort of make sure that people are aligned around the ultimate goals for the business?
Okay, so in terms of goals, in terms of targets, the data we collect in Synergy Cloud, it's logical, it's structured, it's really easy to get at. And it's really easy then to create targets both from a customer's perspective, but also from a business perspective. It's really easy to know at any one point where exactly we are as a business. Are we moving forward? Are we managing to crunch down cycle times? Are we managing to control cost on the behalf of insurers and our clients? Are we able to keep our customers happy? It's really easy to know at a kind of a macro group level position of where we are, but also down to the very nuts and bolts at an individual claim level where we are.
So, I mean, what you're talking about makes complete sense. You're doing it. I guess, in the world we live in today, we all have high expectations and depending on what business we're working with about response times, information. So you developed this a few years ago now, driven by a demand for some external clients we'll talk about. The question I've got is, why haven't other people solved this already? What is it that you've done that has broken through what wasn't there before when your clients were looking who else to go and buy from?
It's such a competitive space, but Synergy Cloud, it allows people who are not particularly good at analysing data or from a data background to see and understand what's important. So the simple reason behind this is that it's built by claims experts for claims teams. So having that vision and that view of what is required is so important. A lot of our tech people have originated from claims backgrounds, so they do truly get it. The tech must drive our customer journey, and Synergy Cloud allows us to take this data and influence what we know is coming next. So I previously spoke about task examples, but having those clear milestones, it allows us to know what must happen. And then equally as important is the culture. We've worked really hard together, Wayne and I, and the wider teams within Claims Consortium Group to drive trust in the data between our MI teams and our operational teams. And I think a direct result of this has been when we've seen TPA clients working with us for pretty transactional claims, so content and gadget schemes, and then quite quickly, because those schemes have been so successful, we've extended that to property schemes where they are more complex and there's more interactions required.
So Sarah, something you said there is I completely agree with. I mean, let's face it, I agree with everything, sorry, but one thing in particular is this concept about often really good technology is hidden behind a really simple user interface. And consistently, and it may even have been Tom Burrows that mentioned this last time we spoke about what he's doing with you. The real work is behind the scenes of making this technology, to your point, that people who aren't necessarily comfortable or familiar with technology use. And the best example I think of that is, our mobile devices, iPhone or Android. Everyone's got one. They're pretty simple to use. I mean, so I think that's a great example. Also want to call out a couple of acronyms you had in there. So MI, of course, is Management Intelligent. TPA, everyone in claims knows that, but not everybody who's listening will know that. So that's third-party administrator. So they're the organizations that are managing the claims. And then I want to come back to this piece about culture because we've touched on that a little bit. Can you just give a little bit of example about, first of all, what are you looking for in the people you hire? And then secondly, you talked a bit about the systems, but how do you align the people and your expectations of people and the systems they're using?
Yeah, so passion is what I'm looking for. A real passion for offering exceptional customer services, but truly offering exceptional customer services. And I think that's reflected within the teams here at Claims Consortium Group, that everybody genuinely has this passion to deliver over and above. But to do that, that we need the data to support us. We need that intelligence to tell us what needs actioning now, what needs to come next. But also, we need people to be focused on being able to deliver that. So by having the system, and so Synergy Cloud and our data suite support us with that, we can truly focus on the customer and the interaction. So whether that's the policyholder or the clients, we can truly focus on that because we have confidence in the reporting suite and in our claims handling system.
No, great question. So from a actual practicality of culture, I think Sarah's probably best set to answer that. But in terms of the kind of business and operation that we do in terms of how we recruit and how we bring people in, we have recognised that obviously a traditional claims handler or a traditional data analyst, it's not really the same now as it used to be maybe 5, 10, 15 years ago. We do recruit hybrid roles, and we need to recruit claims handlers who can, if you want to be data driven, you've got to recruit people who can work with data, understand data to drive claims forward. If you want data people to build the right claim solutions, you need data people with a claims understanding and potential a claims background to be able to hybrid those solutions together.
So we work with lots of different clients, all with varying data requirements. So it's really important that we're listening to what they need from us, and equally that we're keeping up as well. So a lot of our clients are very hungry in terms of data, wanting to make sure, especially in line with consumer duty, that we have all of those checks and balances in place. So I think it's really important that we're listening to our clients and we're feeding that back into the system and back into our reporting data suites so that we can really meet their needs. And this has been something that we've worked really hard on, especially over the last 12 months, both with the internal teams and also with our customers.
And Sarah, you mentioned consumer duty in there. Just for those that aren't familiar with what that means, can you just explain a little bit about what the requirements are?
So consumer duty is something that has been a huge topic, which was introduced in April 2023. I just going to read the definition because I think it's put a little bit more succinctly than I would put it. But yeah, consumer duty is a regulation that sets higher and clearer standards of consumer protection across the financial services sector.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for that. And then we're all finding applications for generative AI these days, and I know you're using that to look at customer sentiment. That sounds really intriguing. Can you just tell me a little bit more about what's happening there?
Yeah, of course. So this is a really, really exciting stuff which we're working on at the moment. So Gen AI has come around at a point in the perfect time for Synergy Cloud in terms of a point of development we were with customer sentiment. So in a previous life, previous employees who worked with customer sentiment, we've had data scientists develop natural language processes solutions for that. Gen AI is taking that, it's AI on steroids, it's incredible stuff. And what we've done, we've embedded that within our Synergy Cloud platform. Essentially, so whenever a customer contacts us, communicates with us, writes to us, we're able to instantly analyse the way that documentation has been written. We can analyse the sentiment of a customer, but to a point that nobody's ever really been able to done before. So some examples in terms of responses we instantly get back from Gen AI are the customer's experiencing mild dissatisfaction with a payment delay. It's to that level of detail. Or the customer's just giving you positive feedback. The customer's got a mild confusion with the last piece of correspondence. And it's that level of detail which then drives handlers are able to pick that up, do something with it, and get that claim back on track. But also, equally importantly, what we're doing right now is we're gathering data. So we're able within Synergy Cloud to understand the exact point of a customer's at in their journey. And what we're able to then do with the Gen AI piece is understand what their sentiment is and what their experience is at each point of that journey. And in that, you can then reverse back, start to analyse your own processes, analyse your own system capabilities, and adapt again to provide that perfect, seamless kind of journey that a customer can follow.
No, it's fascinating. I'm saying that must be a part of how you're coaching your team, is it? Because presumably you can also look at their response and match it back up to, as Wayne said, what your customers are saying.
Exactly that. And I think it's really important, especially as we work within a hybrid working environment, to measure our delivery as well against performance, against our SLAs. So we have, to use an example of a report, so we have an operational dashboard that is essentially what we live by every day, because we can see at any given time how many tasks we need to perform, what we've completed, what are those tasks, what's the SLA for those tasks, how important are they, because in terms of a RAG rating, because of course we have to remain quite agile and we want the claims experience to be really personable, but we need those measures in place to make sure that we're delivering against expectations.
Of course, RAG, red, amber, green, as opposed to someone's lost their RAG, which I guess might be another way of measuring the sentiment.
And I think just to add to that as well. So if you go back in time, or when maybe we're a lot business operates at the moment, the opportunity to deal with a customer in a different way rather than a kind of a traditional journey is they may have made a complaint to you. And your point of that complaint is, okay, how do you deal with that complaint? How do you deal with a customer and make sure you can get that claim back on track? What we're able to do now is identify claims which are maybe falling off track, could generate real dissatisfaction for a customer, and empower our case managers to get those claims back on track, even sometimes before the customer even realises that things aren't going the way that they're supposed to be going. So people are different. Some people are very quick to announce that I'm not very happy with the service. Some people are a bit more passive. And, it's not fair on most customers. It's not fair that somebody should have to complain before they get somebody to give them special attention. And we can pick up those cases now very differently and make that customer's journey the way it should be.
Actually, my daughter was saying to me last night that with some of these chatbots, it's actually possible to be able to see what someone is typing before they send it. And what people are finding is that people get really angry and then they delete what they actually were going to send. So what you actually see on the chatbot is not quite as angry as what they wrote, but you can actually you can kind of almost get that sentiment analysis without them necessarily sending it through. Have you come across that? You might even be doing that.
So we haven't embedded this into a chatbot yet, but that technology certainly is out there. Gen AI is a real kind of 2022, 2023 sort of creation invention, but this is next generation in terms of use cases for that. I firmly believe that we'll just scratch the surface in terms of the use cases, particularly in the customer arena of what that can be used for. But yeah, that's a great example of how we can, help and support people, because that's what we're here to do.
Yeah, and I love that point you made about it's not necessarily the loudest voice that gets attention. I can see that's going to be really powerful for your customers. And then last I was talking to Tom, we were talking a bit about the AA as one of your customers. Anything we should build on that from what we talked about in May last year?
Yeah, of course. So the AA is our first customer, and they predominantly use a system for property claims. And that's where we were maybe 12, 18 months ago. We had a claim system, Synergy Cloud, which provided property claim solutions. Since then, we've put our second big client on, which is Claims Consortium Group, which is ourselves. And we handle a real array of different types of claims. So we deal with pet, travel, liability, subsidence, field adjusting, chartered surveying, personal accidents, motor claims. There's a whole periphery of claims which we deal with. So what we've been able to do is configure Synergy Cloud to be able to handle a whole kind of breadth of different types of claims now, which is a huge leap from where we were, a year ago.
All of us who've got families will know that your family is often, shall we say, the most direct in terms of feedback, in terms of how you're getting on. So as you're a member of the CCG family and CCG is a client for you, how are you getting on looking after them?
We are very demanding to ourselves in terms of what we need. And because the relationship and because the culture is where it needs to be and it's in the right place, we're able to be as demanding and still manage to work in a real, straightforward, cohesive way. This is my fourth claim system project I've worked on in my I like to say short career, but I'm 28 years in now. And, claims people don't like the term MVP. They do not like minimal viable product because it's such a scary sort of attitude and approach. And, I've got a system that kind of works, right? Why would I want to go into an MVP situation? But what we're able to do with Synergy Cloud is, and the stuff that we've done in the business already, is we've launched within CCG MVP versions, which within days and weeks have been configured in a way that they're better than the system that we had previously. And that's because, again, we can work quite closely together on what the objectives are.
Just for those that aren't maybe not familiar with that term MVP, a quick plug for a brilliant book, actually, for anybody building a product, The Lean Startup by Eric Ries, actually. Other people use this term MVP, minimal viable proposition or minimal viable product. But I guess what you're saying is when you build your first product, you focus on one area, but but people need more beyond that. So you're saying you move beyond the early stage. You're now making sure you deliver against the other needs of your clients and your parent. Is that a right sort of interpretation of what you said?
That's essentially it. And I can probably pass this one question over to Sarah, really, because if you look at the launch of Synergy Cloud with your third-party administration business and where it was maybe 4 weeks later, maybe where it was 8 weeks later, and then compare to that where it is now 12 months later, it's a very different place, isn't it? It's a very much, again, claims-built system and claims-built approach.
Yeah, it is. And actually, that's a really valid point, because it was never and has never been kind of a drop of a system and done. We've worked really closely with the teams in terms of collaborating. And just to that very point, Wayne, actually, once we'd launched this with our third-party administration teams initially, and what we quickly found following launch was that actually we want these trigger points in place in terms of the whole customer journey and claims experience. And we were listening to our customers and listening to our teams, and we're able to add those reminders or those next steps in terms of, oh, we need to speak to this supplier and we need to process these payments. It was all very collaborative, and it's a completely different space now if you were to compare the version that we work with now compared to what we launched with. And I think that's a natural evolution as we continue to grow as a business.
Great. Well, look, we've covered an awful lot here, and I'm very conscious that you haven't had lunch. So we're going to wrap things up fairly soon. Is there anything we haven't talked about that I should be asking you about, or you should be telling me about, related to what you're doing?
What's next? So what are we working on next? So this is just the start of a journey in terms of what we're doing with artificial intelligence, what we're doing with machine learning, what we're doing with Gen AI. So we've done the customer sentiment piece, and that's fantastic. There's a whole piece around routing and things like that we want to do around that. We've also got a project on the go called Intelligent Claim Routing. So this is when a claim gets notified to CCG, what is a best perfect journey for that customer? And then we can assess that, put the customer on the right journey. We've got a claim health project, which is at any one time in a claim, we can understand how healthy a claim is, and then we can pick up and deal with any claim that isn't particularly healthy and get them back on track. We've got a number of fraud projects on the go, and we've got a project called a Perfect Storm. So again, using machine learning, using a Gen AI, at the start of a claim, can you predict whether there are going to be any complications, whether perhaps there's a vulnerable customer, a customer needs special support on that particular case? And because you can predict that's going to happen, you can handle that claim in a very different way. So it's a bit Minority Report, less Terminator 2, but it's more predictive a right outcome so that you can help the customer achieve that outcome.
No, it's great. Well, it's called forecasting. I don't think we need to get into creepy AI world of identifying future criminals, but I feel that could be a whole podcast on that one. Perfect Storm. We're looking forward to the episode 4 of the Synergy podcast. Sarah, what about you?
Yeah, so I think one point that I just want to reinforce and that I want people to remember is all about the people. So Synergy Cloud allows our claims handlers to focus on what's important, which is the customer journey. It drives our business behaviours and consistency, meaning that speed to competency for a handler is much quicker as they feel supported in almost this virtual way by the system. So the system and data, they steer the claims along the correct route and highlight if any intervention is required through data, which I think you spoke about, Wayne, but that is such an important point to make sure that we're intervening at the right time to get that claim back on track. And for a handler to be able to focus on the interactions with our policyholders and not to worry about a process or a tick box, that's got to be the proudest point for me.
No, I completely get that. Wayne, for you, as Sarah put it, the one thing, if nothing else, people remember, they'll remember quite a lot, but just for you, what would be the most important things for people to take away from our conversation today?
I think for me, it's the opportunity to do the things that you always thought you'd love to be able to do, but never thought you were ever capable of doing. And Gen AI and the ability to work with structured data allows you to do that in ways that perhaps 20 years ago, if you thought and talked about it, you need a £150 million investment. We're in a very different technology place right now, and we're able to do things that, again, I dreamed of for 15, 20, 30 years, and we're able to do that sort of thing now.
No, I love it. I mean, that's very much the problem looking for a solution. Oh, hey, let's be positive. It's Friday. The opportunity looking for a solution, not the solution looking for a problem. And So now, if anybody wants to learn more, what's the best place for them to actually go to the next level and understand what's happening?
Okay, if you want to know more information about Synergy Cloud, or you want to contact us, you can either contact myself or Sarah on LinkedIn. You can click the link in the notes on here, or you can, if you Google Synergy, you'll be able to find our Synergy website, and you can click a button and request a demo.
Brilliant. Look, I've really enjoyed that. Next time I want to come down to the West Country and do this in person and meet all those wonderful colleagues you've got and learn more about what you're doing. But thank you very much. Thanks for carving out your Friday. And I look forward to hearing the next step in the adventure of CCG and Synergy.
Thank you. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Well, I really enjoyed that one. As I said, real enthusiasm there. Now, if you're interested in seeing us in New York, we're going to be over there on March the 14th. You can find out everything you've got going on at Instech, www.instech.co, and check out that new website. Let us know what you think. You can contact me, Matthew Grant, or Robin Mertens on LinkedIn, or any of us, hello@instech.co. That's it. We're done.